Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming here today. It means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to this family here. We just want to make sure you guys know that this is going to be a heavy conversation that we're going to have. They have had a very traumatic last 5 years. And so just be mindful and understanding that they are reliving some of the worst days of their life today for all of us here. We are recording this so that other people can see and hear her story. This will be on YouTube later. You're more than welcome to share that with your friends, family, anybody else that you might want to pass this message along to. So with that, we're going to roll through the book. I would like to first start off by saying, if anybody has read this book, you saw that Alysia says she is not an author, but take it from this bookstore, she is an author. She's published this, she wrote it. That is something that not many people can claim. So, we're going to go back to October 18th, 2021. I'm sorry. We're gonna go back. We're gonna go back to 2020. Okay. Life was looking great. In May of 2020, you guys purchased a home.
Yeah, it was during that time where it was like sketchy to do it, but it was also very financially doable.
And in addition, Alysia, you just got a new job. 2019 was your first school year teaching at Hollister High?
Yep, full-time intern, full-time student with I was busy.
Life's looking good. There was a new baby on the way. And if I remember correct, Nick.
Yes.
Do you remember how you found out that there was a new baby?
I can never forget.
Tell us, what happened?
So I was at work, and Alysia called me and said, hey, do you want pizza tonight? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I like pizza, like it's a common thing, that I like. And so I didn't think anything of it, and so she just seemed very like chipper and, happy. And I'm like, okay, cool. She's excited about pizza too.
I'm a terrible liar.
And so...
Oh, speak a little louder.
Oh, so I got home, and there was a pizza box on the counter, and the funniest part about that is she was filming it, and I don't think this was in the book, but she was standing there at the counter just being kind of awkward, and I leaned in to kiss her, and she did like a quick like peck and kind of.
I was awkward.
She was very, very awkward. And I was like, I still didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, whatever, I don't know. And so I opened the pizza box, and there was a bunch of baby clothes. It was gender neutral, right? Because we didn't know. But there were shoes and shirts and some other little things. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, I started to tear up a little bit. And yeah, that was an amazing experience and such a surprise.
That's awesome. Alysia, you were teaching biology. You have a big biology background. But that's an interesting year because it wasn't a normal teaching year. If you guys remember, COVID came around. So now you're teaching from home, right?
Yeah, I was teaching from home. And like most people it was rough, but it was really good for somebody pregnant because your first trimester, which you're nauseous, you're tired, all the things, I could nap, in between classes. So you can't do that in a class. Well, you shouldn't do that in a classroom. So yeah, it was actually my favorite.
You made it through, and that's not an easy feat for any teacher to make it through that, especially on your first year of teaching. But then we get to the summer, after school, or after the school year is over, and you develop back pain.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, you are immediately thinking, this must be pregnancy. Most women experience this, right?
I just thought I was dealt one of the more difficult pregnancy hands. I just thought, okay, well, women get back pain. Like, I don't have anything to compare it to, but I knew that that was a thing, so I didn't think much of it.
But it was so severe that it even radiated down your left leg.
Yeah, it got to a point where I like couldn't. It was just bad sciatica pain. Like it was, but it was so bad that it was like, I would talk to other people who had had sciatica pain, and they're like, "Oh, go to this chiropractor, do this PT, save my life." And I'm like, "Well, why is it not working for me?" And so I just couldn't figure out what to do to relieve it, no matter what I did.
And it got so bad you were only sleeping 2 hours a night. You were sleeping on the couch, the dog bed.
Yeah.
You were on the
I was
floor.
desperate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was desperate. Nothing was relieving it.
And I have a quote here. It said, "Boy, are pregnancies challenging." But little did you know what that was at the time, right? In December of 2020, you're close to your due date, I think around 30 weeks, you experienced Braxton Hicks.
Yes, and I thought that's what they were.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know, and I think all women who have been pregnant know, like, you're looking for the signs, but you don't know what's what, right? Especially when you have nothing to compare it to.
You called your OB and you explained to him what you were experiencing, and he sounded concerned. And he said, "You need to go to the ER."
Yeah. And he said, go to one with a NICU just to be safe. And I thought, okay, well, I'll do that.
Mm-hmm. Ultimately, you ended up going to a hospital up in the Bay Area, and you guys ended up delivering Paisley Renee Taormina.
Mm-hmm. A little early, but yep.
That was on January?
It was December 31st, so it was New Year's Eve. She was born.
Because she was early, you didn't get that skin-to-skin time. You didn't get that mommy and me bonding. She's immediately hooked up. Tubes, cables.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on any mom. I mean, there are a lot of moms that have gone through that, but like the NICU feeling of like, I didn't even get to process if it was a boy or girl because I didn't know. So it was like you don't even get to see that it's a girl before they took her, and yeah.
And this is still in this COVID era where your family wasn't even allowed in the hospital.
No.
So she lived in this NICU, and it was only you two that were allowed in there? Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep. Ooh,
On day
this is
8,
serious.
on day 8, the doctors decided that they wanted to give her a cow-based formula to try to increase her weight. That was the goal.
Mm-hmm.
But that backfired real quickly. On day 9, you guys received a phone call that said, "She's going downhill." So you rushed to the NICU.
Yeah.
She was in pain. She had pale skin, and her heart rate was dropping. Just after 11 o'clock, she passed away. Justifiably, Alysia, you said, "Where is God?" On the darkest day of any parent's life, I think we can all understand that question.
Somebody's having fun over there.
A few weeks after that, you still had back pain. And so now it's registering in your head that this wasn't pregnancy induced, right?
Right. And it was confusing too because after I gave birth, it was, I don't know if anyone else has felt this. I'm talking to a bunch of women in the room. So, but it's, your body almost like goes through some sort of like, it's like you have the best pain meds in the world where your body just feels no pain for a certain period of time. So I thought it was gone, but it did come back. And that's like you said.
You had an MRI,
Mm-hmm.
and the MRI produced that there was a mass on your lower left sacrum,
Yes.
on your spine. They took a biopsy, and 10 days later, they were able to confirm this was giant cell-rich osteosarcoma. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
So the name comes from how it looks under a microscope, for those who are curious where that name came from. So it looks like a cell. It's a really rare and aggressive form of bone cancer that, according to my doctors, less than 1,000 people in the world get it a year. And it was so rare that they were so confident I wouldn't. When they went into the biopsy, it was one of the things they threw on the paper saying, it's probably not this, but we got to write this down just because we can't rule it out. It ended up being the one thing we were convinced wouldn't be. But yeah, so it's a rare form of bone cancer.
So the doctors are trying to convince you that you need treatment right away. But you're also grieving.
Yes.
This is weeks afterwards. You see yourself as a mother. You want to be a mother. You want to have another child. But the doctors are telling you you need to go to chemo. And your background in biology is telling you otherwise, right?
Yeah, I knew what chemo would do to my reproductive system, so.
So you guys decided to hold off on chemo, and you're going to go through and see if you can do IVF.
She decided.
Tell us.
Yeah, I'm a little on the stubborn side, and I went to my oncology appointment by myself on purpose because I didn't want my husband or my mom or anybody to influence my decision. And so I said, I want to be able to make this decision without them saying, no, save your life, which I love you guys for that. But life wasn't worth living without being a mom at that point. I had already opened my mom heart, so I needed to do what was right for me, which was, do IVF and take the risk of starting chemo a little later.
So the goal is to protect your eggs for the future. If you're just delaying your treatment, but the risk is post-pregnancy, you don't know when your cycle's going to begin again. And it can take many, many weeks. And your role in the dice with your life here. And Nick, that must have been a hard decision.
Yeah, but at the same time, I love her so much. I will let her decide what she wants to do. And if she wants to roll the dice, I'm going to support her 100%.
That's amazing. Your doctor obviously wanted you to start treatment and really pressed you in that direction. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, 2 days after this phone call with the doctor, you started your cycle, which means you can go straight to IVF. And if we're going to fast forward a little bit, that was a success.
Yeah.
That was something that was an absolute blessing. And tell us, how did that make you feel?
It was like a whirlwind. I mean, some people talk about IVF being some big thing they went through, but for me, it was such a whirlwind. It was such a blink compared to my rest of my story that I honestly don't remember most of it. I know I gave myself shots daily. I know that I know you feel like you're growing things inside you that's uncomfortable, but because it was such a blessing that I got to do it at all, I was just, I mean, I had my port put in while doing IVF, so I'm thinking about chemo and all the things to come. Meanwhile, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta give myself this shot. So it was kind of like, I didn't really get to process the experience of IVF, if that makes sense. I was just so thankful that they did it, because it was 2 days after they did the egg retrieval, I was at the hospital for a week for inpatient chemo. So it wasn't like I don't know, it just all went so fast.
It did, yeah. That port that you had placed in, that was a special port, right? A two-way port?
Yeah, it was a dual port, and so so that they could put multiple types of chemo in at the same time.
Your chemo treatments, the way it was going to work was you were going to do 1 week in the hospital, 2 weeks at home, and this was a 5-cycle treatment. So you did the first week, then you come home, and immediately your hair starts to fall out. Nick, do you remember what you did?
I shaved mine.
Without any hesitation, after shaving Alicia's head, he shaved his head, and he said, "Nobody fights this alone." You got onto your 4th cycle. I'm sorry, this was 6. You were doing this six times.
Yeah.
So you're on your 4th cycle of chemo treatment. And you ended up in the ER. Do you remember why?
I was neutropenic. So for those who are kind of not sure what that is, it's basically your body has no immune system to fight anything. My white blood cell count had been wiped to 0. So yeah, it was luckily he was the one who pushed me to go, because I was like, oh, I just have really bad stomach pains. My body was acting funny. I didn't know what was going on. So, but
They also had they also kicked me out of the room because you were so.
oh, that's right. Yeah, no one was allowed to be in there, because if I have no immune system, then everyone's a risk to me, I guess. So yeah, that's true.
And the doctor did state that your life was in danger. It was a life-threatening condition. And so going in saved your life. And the multiple blood transfusions that you received. Specifically, you said what saved your life was it increased the hemoglobins, the red blood cells, and you also got frozen plasma. And that's the people that go to American Red Cross and donate blood. If you ever wonder where your blood goes, her life was saved because of this. That wasn't the end of your hospital ER visits. There were multiple. There were more that happened throughout this process of getting treatment through radiation. In July of 2021, you completed your treatments. But just 3 months later, October 18th, you had a wild rounds of surgeries. It was slated to do 3 different surgeries, and this is to remove the cancer from your spine, right? Operation number 1 was going to go in to move your vital organs to one side so that they're not at risk. Operation number 2 would have been to install the ostomy bag. Also, you were going to get some nerves cut, including 3 out of the 5 of your sciatic nerves. But here's the kicker. Between those 2 surgeries, they were going to keep you asleep. And then you'll wake up. It'll be another day or 2, and then you'll have surgery number 3, which is where they will do the big incision down your back and they'll remove it.
Mm-hmm.
This was all in a span of 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
Sorry.
massive procedure. Nick, how are you feeling going into this?
I really at the time didn't know how to feel. I never had a loved one going through such a crazy surgery like that, and so I was on the edge of my seat. I was also numb. I think I was worried, of course, but um, yeah, I guess I was just on the edge of my seat, and I stayed in a hotel room, um, and then her mom Terry stayed in another room, and so we just stayed up there that whole week while she was going through these surgeries. But I guess I didn't allow myself to feel any. I don't know. I didn't allow myself to feel anything because I didn't have time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was pretty rough. We got a call at the end of every surgery, from the surgeon explaining what they did and whatever. But yeah, it was tough to hear. But like I said, you're just kind of numb, and like almost in shock in a way.
Yeah. Alysia, do you remember what happened after surgery number 2 when they woke you up?
I was hallucinating. Is that
Yeah.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
hallucinating.
The pain was so bad, right? And you got a lot of pain meds.
Yeah, they couldn't manage the pain. Like they couldn't manage the pain well enough to. So yeah, I was hallucinating, and it wasn't. I don't think I have a valid or an accurate. I don't think what I remember is what actually happened. But yeah, I was hallucinating, and he had to talk me, down a little bit because I would get worked up, scared, and I thought I was like in an elevator, and it's just weird stuff that you're just like, it's when you're not in your own home, and then having to go under again, and they're not able to control your pain along with your hallucinations. It's just it's so scary. It's just scary. I mean, yeah.
During operation number 3, there were some complications. The left side of your heart shut down. Do you want to talk to us about what you saw?
I can. So I'm talking to people of faith here, because I feel cheesy sometimes when I say this out loud, but I know that there's a higher power out there. I felt like I had an opportunity to go if I wanted. I really did. I can't really describe. I'm not an artist, otherwise I would have drawn it in the book, but I felt like there was a light that it was a feeling of light though, not a vision of light, if that makes any sense. But I felt like if I closed my eyes, I didn't have to wake up. Like I could just close them forever. But a very sweet friend of mine sitting here said, "But you didn't see Paisley, did you?" And I didn't. If I saw her, I probably would have gone. But because I didn't see her, I didn't. And again, it sounds silly, and I think sometimes I go, maybe it was the drugs, but I know there's a higher power, and I know that I think I was given a choice deep down. I was weak enough to go. I was definitely weak enough to go. So I'm just, yeah, it was a weird experience. It's something that I thought you'd only see in movies, so.
The recovery after a ginormous operation, specifically on your spine and your lower back, is nothing short of massive. You had to do 3 more weeks in the hospital, with 5 more weeks after that in a rehab facility. But the reason you had an ostomy bag installed was because you can't bend your back. You have to stay stiff and straight. Was it for a year?
It was for, I'm trying to remember because multiple surgeries had different qualifications. But the first time I had to do that, it was, I think, just through rehab. So it was a couple, 2 to 3 months, I think, because I had to do, yeah, I won't get to that part yet. But yeah, I had to basically
8
cartwheel
weeks.
out of 8 weeks. Yeah,
It was
I had
about
to
8
do
weeks.
cartwheels out of bed, kind of, sort of. It's like a log roll where your feet go down as your front comes up, and I got really good at it. But yeah, it was so the ostomy bag was for recovery purposes because I couldn't use a bedpan because my incision site was in that area. So that's if the incision site was somewhere else, I probably could have gotten away with a bedpan, but I had to have an ostomy for that reason.
So you're getting out of rehab just before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Then your oncologist calls and says the biopsy was iffy. They're not sure if everything is safe, if you can continue, and they want you to go through another round of radiation, but a specific type of radiation now. And none of that is anywhere nearby here. So where did you go?
I had to go to San Diego. There's only 2 proton radiation centers in California, and for some reason they're both down south. And proton radiation, in a nutshell, just means that it's, instead of the radiation that spits like this, the way I explained it to him is it's kind of like if you turn the nozzle on like a Windex thing where it's like pinpointed. Instead of spraying like this, it's like this. And so that eliminates the possibility of getting my vital organs. Sorry, the beauty of an ostomy bag. My vital organs around that area so that they didn't do more further damage than what's already been done.
So you've only got this 2-week period before you have to go to San Diego to start treatment again. And in that 2-week period, you want to spend time at home, catch up with your family, see your dogs, your husband. But you also got to have a reversal ostomy operation.
Mm-hmm.
So there goes, I think, eight days out of your 2-week period.
Yeah.
And on the day after Paisley's anniversary of her passing, you had to go to San Diego for 7 weeks.
Yeah, it was tough.
7 weeks. Nick, that's a long time to be away amongst everything else that you guys went through in that entire year.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long time to be alone after, not being alone for a while,
When you were in San Diego, you got to meet Christy on a video call, right?
Yeah.
Who's Christy?
So my surrogate, so I started a surrogacy journey. I started dabbling in that during chemo because I wanted to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. At the time I thought I could get pregnant again. If that didn't happen, what can I do? If I don't live through these surgeries, I want to have at least something going so that he has something to hold on to when I die. I had all these things going on in my head, and pretty much my mom and him, to be honest, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys were kind of like, Alysia, just focus on living. Like, stop worrying about that right now. And I was like, no, I'm going to do this. And so I had already done my homework, and I came across, or somebody at an agency had come across somebody they thought that would be a good fit for me. So this surrogate and I got to meet via Zoom while I was in San Diego, of all places, getting fitted for this weird thing.
And even finding her was a struggle. So finding the right person to carry your child is not an easy decision to make.
No, it's not.
It was almost a blessing that you guys discovered her because she was on the verge of also giving up being a surrogate, right?
Yeah, because she too was trying to find the right. She wanted to sync with a family as much as we wanted to sync with. It comes from both sides. It shouldn't feel transactional. If it does, you're probably with the wrong person.
Well, proton radiation in San Diego for 7 weeks wasn't easy. There were numerous trips to the ER, lots of stomach pain. There was a story in the book that you wrote about the San Diego ER hospital that you had gone to. Was the line and the people it wasn't like Hollister anymore. You were in big city dealing with bigger problems in bigger hospitals. It was chaos. You didn't even get to complete proton radiation in San Diego. They actually sent you home a week early.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't for good news. It was because your organs were at risk, right?
Mm-hmm. They didn't say anything was going on particularly, but later on we kind of connected the dots.
After you got back home, your back pain continued. It got so bad you had to go back to the ER about your back pain.
Mm-hmm.
And they found out that something was wrong. I want to say what they found out in the ER. Alysia wrote, my small intestine had attached itself to the lower left bones that comprise the remaining sacral area and spine. My intestines had torn and stool was leaking through the muscular tissue. My spine and hardware were at risk for fatal infections, and I was going septic. What are you thinking?
I just sometimes am in disbelief that I caught it in time. It's one of those things where I'm not one to jump and run to the hospital, and it's scary to think that you have to advocate for yourself so much to if you read that whole chapter, you'll see that I had to do a lot of advocating. The doctors didn't see that, scans didn't see that. It was me saying something's wrong over and over.
That's right, because you had pain on your lower left side that you were saying, that's what my issue is. And the scans that they were doing weren't showing anything was wrong. Ultimately, they did a different scan and it showed a broken rod on the right side. And so that couldn't have explained the pain that you were feeling on the left side. So it was actually while they were in surgery that they discovered we have an issue over here. That's when they found the intestine issue. That was a shocker to you because you obviously didn't know it was happening. But Nick, you got a phone call from the doctors about this, right?
Mid 12-hour surgery. Yeah, so about 6 hours in, the doctor called her mom, and her mom and I were sitting in our own cars in the parking lot where it's comfortable. But Terry received a call from the surgeon, and he told us that we found something very unexpected. And that's when he began to tell us that they found stool leaking through the muscle tissue into the previous surgical site, and that they were waiting for the general surgeon to get there to assess the situation and figure out what to do about her intestines.
I want to read this other passage from Alysia. When I woke up, I was not a happy camper. I went into the surgery thinking I would only have my back worked on. Instead, I had several additional unexpected pains to endure. I think you woke up with the ostomy bag again, right?
Mm-hmm. This was my second ostomy bag.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was a procedure on your front side,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't even fix the hardware that was busted on the back side.
No. But I smile when you talk about the broken hardware because that is what saved my life. Had they not opened me up to fix a rod that they so clearly were prioritizing, let the siren go by. That rod was their priority. They were disregarding what I was complaining about, but the rod saved my life because had they not been in there to open me up for the rod that they were concerned about, that they wanted to fix, even though they couldn't fix it at that time because they found out it was infected, it wouldn't have meant I had too much infection running through my body to put metal in. But yeah, the rod saved my life. So I smile every time someone says, "Aren't you upset?" No, not at all. I'm so glad that hardware broke. And that was God, for sure.
So now they had to schedule a procedure to fix this broken hardware. This procedure was unlike anything I had ever heard of. But they're going to take one of your abdomen muscles and use it as a sling to wrap up your intestines so this doesn't happen again, right?
Yeah, because I have a hole, if you can envision, like the back of your hips, the sacrum and the backside, the left side's missing. So that's how the intestines had gone down and caused the fistula to begin with. So they were basically blocking that hole.
This surgery went smooth. It was a 3-month recovery, bed rest, can't bend again. You're in and out of ERs so much. You took it upon yourself to purchase a hospital bed for your house, right?
We got a special bed that that has the ability to move up. Well,
The sleep number.
the sleep number, but it's a special one that goes up and down. And yeah, it's like it's not an actual hospital bed, but it was a blessing in disguise that we had this before I ended up having this unknowing surgery. Because it's the only way I was able to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to tell them that we had a sleep number bed with all of these features. And they're like, okay. Yeah.
Now, early January 2023, Nick, you were starting to feel sluggish. You're battling GERD, or what your doctor was saying was likely GERD, but it kept getting worse.
So, January 1st of 2023, I woke up that morning and I had severe pain in my sternum. And it wasn't like, it felt like I had an air bubble or something, and I wasn't digesting well or something like that. So I wasn't too concerned. But every time I would like take a deep breath, I would cough, like I had no control over this weird like reflex, And so we went to the emergency room here in Hollister, and eventually they did an ultrasound around my heart, and they found that I had fluid around my heart. And they said, "We don't have a cardiologist on staff. You're going to need to go somewhere right now." And so Alysia drove me all the way up to a hospital that did, and they confirmed with another ultrasound. And the next day, I did spend the night there, and the next day I will let you describe.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and do this.
Well, just so people know, Nick's symptoms were a little more rough than what he was, describing. He's being quite humble. Your heart rate was 160 beats per minute, and it was dropping to 75, and it was repeating.
While laying in bed, doing nothing. It wasn't like he was exercising or something.
Now, Nick did get the operation to drain the fluid, and that went well. But Alysia writes in the book, and then they said, we need to test for cancer. And you were just thinking, not more of this, right? This is a lot for you two.
Meanwhile, we had a baby on the way, It's like we're trying to be positive about this. We need to have at least one healthy parent.
Just 2 weeks later, Alysia then had digestive pains, right? You were having issues defecating sitting. You'd have to stand, which is completely abnormal for you. What turned out to be periodontal inclusion cyst, right? What is that?
It's a peritoneal. Sorry, there's a little bit too much medical
Gotcha.
jargon.
Gotcha.
Peritoneal inclusion cyst. It's just basically I have so much scar tissue that was causing fluid buildup that was pushing on organs that aren't meant to have that kind of pressure on them. So, and it was blocking and causing me to need certain. It was something that comes from too much scar tissue apparently.
It's essentially a cyst that fills the open void that was left through all these operations.
Yeah.
So there's a risk that it can come back, but the doctor feels confident, drains it, and a few weeks later, you guys have a baby shower. What was that like?
Well, I mean, I don't know, that's kind of your thing.
I know. Well, my mom threw a really amazing baby shower
Balloons
for us.
and
At first, I
everything.
didn't want to do it, to be honest, just because it's hard not being pregnant at your own baby shower. And it's hard because I couldn't have my surrogate here either. She lives in Illinois. And it was just, but I did it also because I knew that my mom didn't get to do that for Paisley. And I thought, like, if I were in her shoes, I'd want to do that. And I'm her only daughter, and, this might be her only chance to do it. And so we did it, and I'm really happy we did.
I remember this battle that you just described of you feel weird and guilty and self-conscious about not being pregnant and all the things that come with that. And there's more of those feelings as we continue through this story. But the theme, Nick, do you remember what the theme was, or the catchphrase of your guys' baby shower?
I don't remember the catchphrase, but
It was
our
our pee.
our pee, her pod.
That's right.
Yeah.
Her pod.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, C-section is scheduled for April 5th. Baby's coming. And we're getting ready. And Nick ends up in the ER in March. Again with his heart. What's going on?
So I had a reaction to another vaccine, and it flared up my pericardium again. So the pericardium is the lining around your heart, and it was between that and my heart muscle where the fluid buildup was. So the vaccine, we're thinking, allowed my pericardium to inflame and thicken and allow it to fill up with fluid again. So I went back to the emergency room, and they didn't do any draining this time, but they just put me on a bunch of meds and a bunch of meds and ibuprofen and whatever else to get the inflammation down.
But before Nick gets discharged out of the ER, Alysia takes it upon herself to go to the ER, just being proactive here, thinking this was going to be a long plane flight. I should stock up on pain meds.
It was, he talked to me, and my mom was going to go and discharge him anyway. And so I said, I'll go with you. It's not funny, but it's funny now. And I said, I'll go with you. And he said, why don't you just go to the ER and get your back checked out? And at worst comes to worst, they can give you something because you've been complaining about your back. This bed's going to be uncomfortable. We have a long plane flight. And I'm saying, okay, I guess, since we're already going. And
Well, what happened in the ER?
I had a broken screw, and that's why my back was hurting. So it wasn't a quick scan and just. So my mom goes up and discharges him from the cardiac unit, and they go and park or whatever, and then they go on up to the neuro unit. And
So I walked out and then walked back in.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
so all in one day. It was just like wild to think that that actually happened.
You guys didn't know the gender of the baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's a complete surprise. So you guys make the plane flight all the way to Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
and you got there late, the night before the morning operation.
Mm-hmm.
At 8:15 a.m. on April 5th, 2023, Genevieve Paisley Taormina was born.
Mm-hmm. That little voice back there.
You wrote so much because it was a quick turnaround. As most people can imagine, Nick's PTO days are extremely limited with all of these hospital visits. You guys can't take 2-3 weeks in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 1-week trip, and you're on your way back with a newborn baby, and you're writing your book that you're self-conscious. You feel guilty. What does everybody else think of me? I have this brand new baby, and I'm super skinny. Tell us a little bit more about how you were feeling.
I mean, I haven't read that part of the book in so long, so I'm still trying to like go back to that headspace. But I know that I didn't feel. I felt judged for a number of reasons. First of all, sometimes people would say, "Oh my gosh, how'd you lose the weight so fast?" And it's like, well, that's a long story. But also, I felt out of place a little bit, like a mom that I know I'm a mom. I know it's our baby, but it was like, am I being judged for being an unhealthy mom, wanting this? Am I good enough? You know, do people understand that even though I'm not healthy, this is healing for me, and I'm gonna be the best mom I can be, even though I'm still sick. And it just, yeah, there were a lot of feelings at that time.
And even breastfeeding.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't consider how you feel because you're not producing milk.
Oh yeah, that was rough. It was rough, and I mean, of course, she even when I'd hold her skin to skin, she would latch, and I was just heartbroken because I was like, I don't have anything. I'm sorry. And also losing a child to formula. First, I was petrified of giving this one formula, so I did everything in my power to have her on donated milk for as long as possible, just because I was terrified. Nothing against formula for other people. It's just the trauma in me couldn't handle it.
Shortly after April, after you guys get back and you're settled in, the cyst comes back. So you had to get another operation. Again, drain the cyst. That was an outpatient operation that went smooth. And then we get to July. You have this familiar feeling again in your back, and you know something is wrong again. But now you're facing guilt. It's not as easy just to go to the ER and say, something's wrong. Can you take a look at it? Because you know what's wrong. And you know this is going to be a major operation. And you're going to be away from Genevieve.
Yeah.
So what happened in the ER? What did they find?
I found another the same screw had broken. So I knew, because I sounded like a squeaky door. I knew something was off. I'd felt that pain before, but I had been dealing with it for actually a while. But yeah, I had to do something about the pain, obviously. But it was way harder having a baby at home at 4 months old.
The doctors added some extra screws. They reinforced this to make sure that it won't happen again. Genevieve is only 3 months old, but now you have to be stiff and you can't carry, what, more than 10 pounds, was it?
I think it was like 5
5
technically.
pounds? And you can't bend your back for a year this time.
Yeah, no bending, lifting, or twisting.
That had to have been a tough thing with a 3-month-old. All you want to do is hold her and carry her.
My father-in-law stayed with Nick while I was away, and that was a blessing because I knew that you guys know a newborn is a full-time job. It's like you're up frequently throughout the night, and he's working. And actually, I know you took time off, but still, it was just a full-time gig, and making bottles every few hours, and you have to thaw the milk and all the things. It was a lot, but yeah.
This surgery wasn't without complications though, right?
Yeah.
They called it saddle anesthesia.
Yeah.
And that left you in diapers because you had no feelings around your genital area.
Not
None.
at all, and then still don't. And that was 3 years ago? No, 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was 2023.
2 years ago.
July of 2023.
Yeah.
So now you're in your 30s, wearing diapers, and you're feeling guilty. It's difficult for you to do things, to travel. You had told me previous conversations that you are going to the restrooms more frequently because you just don't know when things are going to happen, when they're going to come. But then there was a day that you decided you're going to take your daughter to the aquarium, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I marked this part of the book because being a mom looked different than I had imagined, but I was grateful. She, Genevieve, didn't care that I wore diapers, so I tried not to. That really is hard to comprehend what you were going through, but it was a constant struggle. You were at the aquarium, and I remember you saying something along the lines of, this is it, because you had multiple accidents in your diaper, and it was ruining your family time.
We figured out where every bathroom was around every corner, basically. I was changing my diaper more than I was changing hers. Yeah.
We took Evie to the aquarium for the first time, and she loved it. Everything from the jellyfish to the penguins had her wholly captivated. This was the dream. Well, almost. The struggle with diapers didn't stop. With no food in my system, I still managed to have 3 accidents that required me to interrupt our family time to find the closest restroom. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. The diaper changing with frequent and unexpected accidents needed to stop. I was done, and it was dramatically affecting my quality of life. I needed a more permanent and manageable solution. So what happened?
I opted into what now is my 3rd colostomy bag, so 3rd and final. But it's better than diapers, and yeah, there's some interruptions it can cause, but it beats the heck out of having accidents, so I'm thankful.
Can you give us any other medical updates beyond the book? Have you had any more broken screws?
Oh yeah,
Have I?
yeah.
I have.
The last one with the screw and rod.
Oh, I'm so bad. I'm sorry. So I had a screw and a rod, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so, March of this year.
March of this.
March.
Oh, yeah, my most recent. Okay.
March of this year. It was a Sunday morning, and Alysia was in the kitchen, and I was in the living room picking up dog toys or something. And we were getting ready to go to the park for Evie.
That's
I think.
right.
And excuse me. Alysia bends over to pick something up. It was a sock of Evie's or something. And there was this loud snap.
It sounded
It
like
was
a
more like
firework went off. In the
yeah,
house.
it was like a
Weird.
thump almost. I can hear it in my head, but I still can't describe it. And she just kind of grabbed her back and was like, "Oh, that was a weird noise," And some time went by, about 5 minutes or so. We were getting ready to leave, and she just looks at me as we were about to get in the car, and she's just shaking her head, and then she starts to get teary-eyed, and she says, "I think I just broke something." And from there, it was the scans and the ER visits.
We still went to the
Oh.
park though.
Yeah, we
Just
still
so
went
you
to
know,
the park.
We still went to the
That's
park.
right. And that's where we got the video to give to the doctors.
Yeah, well, that was the irritating part. Was I called my neurosurgeon and they disregarded the sound because that's all I had was noise, right? I didn't have scans, and then of course I do scans. My mom and I spend an entire day getting scans done, which is fine. But the scans showed us nothing, and it broke my heart because it was like I know something's wrong, and I tried to explain to them this is typical. 9 times out of 10, scans don't show anything we need to see, but they just disregarded everything. And it wasn't until I went to the emergency room later that the ER doctors said we need to take this sound seriously. And so they did an exploratory surgery and found 2 things broken. Not just 1, but 2. And so it wasn't like an I told you so moment, but it was like,
I told you so.
yeah, kind of. So, yeah. That was March, right? So
Yeah.
April and March.
I took all of May off.
But then
Yeah.
I think I talked to you after that too, right? And I don't know if you have more questions.
No, go ahead.
I got home 2 weeks later. I was back on more like a week later. I was back on my treadmill trying to gain my strength back, and actually it was more like 4 days later. Because I try to get back to my groove after surgeries. I'm so used to them, and I have a daughter who's not getting any lighter and not getting any less active. So I always jump to trying to feel better as quickly as possible. And I was feeling good, and all of a sudden one day I said, I don't feel right. I feel like I'm running a fever or something, and I just didn't feel. It was about 2 weeks after my surgery. And I just kind of put it off, and I said, I really don't feel good. And it just kept getting worse, and it was like 2 or 3 days later. And anyway, long story short, I had a staph infection from the back surgery from 2 weeks prior. So it was like they had to open me back up, do the whole washout. And it was like I was mad because I just spent like 10 solid days getting back my endurance, getting back my strength, and then I went. Anyway, yeah, it's just been a long journey, but she always says something that gets all of us. She always says, don't be surprised if you hear this at church now, because she says it all the time. She says, Mommy, come back always, I promise. And it gets me because I know what she means. I know what she's referring to. So anyway, it's a lot. I'm surprised I held together this long, but thank you for coming.
What does silver linings mean to you? What message do you want to send to everybody that's listening about your book?
Yeah, silver linings to me, as I tear up, but really truly, when you read this book, I promise my intent is not to make anyone feel sorry. My intent is to have people feel, I guess, not motivated, just grateful. Like grateful as in, silver linings to me, I guess, sorry, I'm losing my words here, but silver linings to me are like the benefits that come from the hard times, if that makes any sense, which we've all been through tough stuff. And when you go through something tough, you can really focus and dive deep into the negative, or you can see the silver linings. It's like I look at them as like the I love Evie differently because of what I went through. Do I wish for child loss? Absolutely not. But I love her differently because of it. So instead of focusing on child loss, I focus on what I've gained from child loss, if that makes sense. So it's like, but I don't want other people to have to suffer to have that benefit. So my hope and dream was, my prayer was to write this and have others gain something from it. Like, and it doesn't mean like, oh, shame on you for taking things for granted. I take things for granted all the time. But sometimes it enriches our life to see how other people can benefit from their struggles. So maybe you benefit from my struggles without having to go through my struggles. I don't know if I said that right.
Yeah. I think your story can have an impact across a wide range of people. We don't have to necessarily experience what you guys went through to appreciate things in life.
Yeah.
Before we open up to any questions from the audience, I wanted to do two things. First, I wanted to ask you about the butterfly that you're wearing around your neck.
It throws me off every time someone asks that. But my butterfly is, my daughter's ashes are in it. Paisley, when she passed, this has like, it's losing all the stones on the outside. It's because I haven't ever taken it off. I don't take it off unless I have a scan. But yeah, I have a little bit of her ashes inside it, and she's always with me. So yeah, she's very special. And I guess he asked me one day, he goes, what do butterflies mean to you? And butterfly was a choice because when she passed, we took a print of her feet and they coincidentally went like this. And it just made a butterfly. And so butterflies are literally everywhere in our house. And they're special.
Last thing I want to do is I want to read to everybody the dedication to your daughters. To my firstborn Paisley, my angel in heaven, your life, though far too short, gave mine a deeper purpose. You showed me what it means to love without limits, to fight even when it hurts, and your spirit lives on in all that I do. You are the quiet strength in my soul, my reason to keep believing in light even through the darkest nights. To my little Genevieve, my light here on earth, your wild spirit, your fierce will, and fearless heart have carried me through the hardest days. You are my biggest reason to keep fighting, my daily proof that joy can be loud, messy, and full of life. Because of you, I am still here. Together, you saved me. You are the heartbeat behind every word. This book is for you, my daughters, my miracles, my reasons. Does anybody have any questions?
I just want to say thank you for sharing your story. I would love to know what your go-to scripture is.
I wish I was versed well, but I would say that initially my go-to scripture was, and kind of is always going to be near and dear to me, is the book of Job. And I think it was just because everyone grieves differently, but don't get mad at me for saying this. But when Paisley passed, he strayed away from the Lord, and I leaned hard. And it was the first time in our entire relationship that we were not in sync. We were not yoked. We were not. And I just leaned on the book of Job because I remember like his wife saying, well, you were his wife in this case, in this example, but she was mad. She was furious. Like, how dare, how could you love a God who does this? And Job's like, why would do we just only love him when he's good to us? And I mean, there's other scripture now that I lean on that, supports the idea of, he uses all things for good. And I see it. I just didn't see, you don't always see it at first, Like, I know Paisley saved my life. I know Paisley is why Genevieve's here, or how Genevieve's here. But I couldn't tell you that that's how I felt right when she passed. So thank goodness for all of God's words kind of coming to me. And yeah. But if you have any scriptures you guys like encourage me to read, I'm always open because I read every morning and I'm still learning a lot.
Anybody else?
How do you feel like, because it's like, it's probably like such a mix, and going through as much as you both have gone through, where it's like, what, God, not again, but also like, whoa, we are like surviving. Like, even seeing you now, like, and hearing that you go to church sometimes, I'm just like, praise God, like, so is there just like this beautiful like fragility, but also like an awe of just like how much God's hand has been on you?
Yeah, I
Like,
used to get,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying. I used to get offended by like people saying like, or not offended. I used to just get kind of defensive internally when people would say things like, "Oh, God's hand has been on you," and it's like, do you not see how big of a mess I am? But I
Yeah.
know now that we're healing and we've come this far, and like I guess leaning more like my relationship with God has grown. So knowing now that God has, he really has got you, and when you do go through things, instead of being a victim, I guess it's better to say, what can I do with this, Lord? Like that, there's so much that you're helping me through. Let me use me and what I'm going through, because it's obviously I'm here for a reason. So don't let it go to waste. Is kind of the way I look at it.
right.
But I didn't look at it that way at first. I mean, it's easy to victimize ourselves.
Well, I have to say that I am so proud of the both of you because when tragedy happens, it is tough on a marriage.
It
It
is.
is really hard, but you had your faith. I do not feel sorry for you because
No, please don't.
you have your faith. Ones I feel sorry for, ones that don't have faith.
Yeah.
You have to lean on something. You have to work towards something and have something guide you.
Yeah.
We don't have that. You have.
Exactly.
But you have each other too, and I'm so happy to hear that you guys are close together and have come this far. Beautiful family. Keep
Yes.
up the good work. You guys are good for each other, and that's the other thing. You came together for a reason. You two were meant to be together.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do have people ask me sometimes, people who don't know us, they're like, or people ask somebody else, maybe not to us directly, but are they still together?
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, we're still together.
That's because when you have God and you both are with God, they stay together. When you quit praying and going to church together, that's when families fall apart. And that's what I told her husband today, that, he will keep you together.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I have to say, you're part of my life group, so we have
Yes.
15 of us on a group text, and we, for the most part, we try to get together once every other week on Thursdays. And Alicia's not able to go because it is at night and it's harder, especially with sleep and things like that, and a baby, here, maybe. But I have to say, her mornings are amazing, and what you give to our group and our texts are more than you can possibly imagine. You are one of the strongest, if not the strongest woman that I know. And you have such purpose and your beauty behind everything you do. How you walk selflessly through every single thing that you've been through. And I knew a lot, but I didn't know all of it. And everything you've been through is, and you know what? I'm so thankful that you're here, and there's such a purpose for you. And your journey has made you. And what you give every morning you speak to someone.
Oh, I'm happy.
You speak to someone, and I know you pull away. You go, "Oh gosh, I'm sorry for if I'm just babbling or I'm doing this." I'm going like, "Are you kidding me? You're so eloquent in
I look
everything you
forward
do."
to your morning prayers. They're really special, and
And your questions, loaded questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you.
It's just
Yeah.
like truly a blessing.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
true.
I'm glad.
We enjoy them, honestly.
Oh,
I do.
like
And you're
this
not
group
the
is
only
amazing.
one that can't go. So we have these women that really want to all be together, but it's just hard. It's hard to get everybody together on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
So there's others, but there's others that are wanting these inspiration, these devotions, these prayers, these things, and we all need it so badly. And for us, our life group season ends, and we just made a decision for my group to continue on. So we are not going to be ending in the fall, like in November, like most. We just kind of we end for a time, and then we start back up in
When the
kind of
holidays
go in
and
different,
everything
yeah,
get
when the
crazy.
holidays are. So we've chosen because there are 15 women that are just starving for the Lord and just want more. And we just look forward to you continuing this journey with us and being there and just being you. You are
Thank you.
amazing.
It's nice to be a part of a group when you have life shake you in a way where like I was a teacher but I wasn't teaching. Because I was too sick. I kept signing to go back and it was like a joke almost. I signed a contract to go back to teaching and oh sorry, just kidding, I have another surgery. Oh just kidding, I have to go to San Diego. Or oh just kidding, I broke another rod. It was like to the point where it was not comical but comical, and it was like I just can't keep leading you guys on. Find a teacher. I know there will be teaching opportunities for me if and when I'm meant to go back. Hasn't happened yet, but I was a teacher without a teaching. I was a mom without a baby. And then you start to realize like you've changed. Like you can't go back to being who you were. And I shouldn't say you. I'm hoping I'm not alone in this, but I would apologize for it. I would apologize for being changed. And I'm like, he's changed. Anybody who's associated with us, who loves us deeply and sat with us in it, is changed. Because it wasn't just me. I mean, my father-in-law drove down. He's sitting right there. The man who looks an awful lot like my husband. That's my father-in-law. But like, it's we're all changed by it, and it's like when people sometimes. I used to apologize for it, and I don't anymore. I don't apologize for being different, for having a strength that may turn some people off, or maybe I look calloused or seem calloused, or maybe I have different priorities or whatever. I'm not apologizing for it anymore, though, because I know that's almost like offending God. That would be the equivalent of my daughter telling me I'm sorry for being the person you made me. It's like, no, I want to be proud of who I am and what I've been through, and no, I haven't handled it perfectly. I haven't. I've made a lot of mistakes. And my husband and I are far from like obviously we love each other, but we've had our rough patches. And who wouldn't though? Do you know what I mean? That's kind of it took me a while to get there. It took me a while to get to a place of saying, Alysia, it's okay. You can extend grace to yourself. I give you permission. And it took me so long to give myself permission to not be perfect through this whole thing. Because I can't carry another child for him. The guilt I have had is overwhelming. I have one set of abs. There's no way I can carry another child. I'll be lucky if I get to, some people talk about, oh, your daughter this and that in the future. Or don't you want to be this way when you're a grandmother? And I said, I just hope I live long enough to be a grandmother. And it's not to make people feel sorry for me when I say that. It's just my perspectives have changed. So I don't relate to most people in their 30s anymore, if I'm being honest. My girls here that are young and,
you guys get it because you have faith, but sometimes people, they're first world problems. And I'm just thinking, if you could only see how blessed you are to have your health. I don't know. Meanwhile, I'm having this recorded and my ostomy bag's making noises. And it's like I'm trying so hard not to focus on it. But, you know, I still have my stuff. But I'm just thankful for all of you who genuinely love me for this version of me. And you're not trying to have the old me back. Because it's just not going to happen.
We love who you are.
Thank
You bring so much to us. You really do.
It's like hope. That's how I
Thank
see
you.
like
Yes.
when you send your
Yes.
scriptures.
Yes.
Like I follow you on
Yes.
Insta
I
and
know.
Facebook.
Me too.
Like more than probably other. I'm like, especially your Evie girl. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
like I rewatch her videos like probably like 10 times in a row
Oh,
because they're just I hope. Just I don't know another word for it.
thank you. That's what my prayer was when I wrote this book. I think I told you this. I wrote it during, and it's so silly because I'm raising a kid now, and it's like, how in the world do I have an excuse now? Like, I have more time now than I did back then, being in the hospitals and such. But somehow I found the will. God helped me. That's why I tell people I can't leave God out of this story, even if I wanted to, because I wouldn't have had the bandwidth to write this story without him. How do you do that from ICU beds, from rehabilitation centers, proton radiation? Like, I did it throughout my story, not at the end. So I know God's in this story, and that's why I said, well, God obviously wants me to do something with it. So as long as it helps one person, that's all I wanted. So thank you.
Maker. How are you doing? How's
Me?
your health?
My health is okay. I think I haven't had a flare up with my heart in a while, but yeah, no health problems that I can recall at the moment. But yeah, no, I'm doing okay.
Thank you again.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for coming here. Alysia will be signing books. Whether you guys brought your book, she'll sign it. If you guys need a book, we have those available for purchase as well. And you guys are more than welcome to get her to sign a book, have some one-on-one with her. But yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
It's a beautiful story.